All right, from the international front, let's get back to the country to a live event at the Treasury as several cabinet secretaries for Treasury, Devolution and Planning and the cabinet secretaries are set to make an address on the hunger situation in the country. Currently speaking is the cabinet secretary for Devolution and Planning, Mwangi Kiunjuri. Let's cross over there and listen in.
Also contact us at any given time, the ministries where you require clarifications, so that we can be able to appraise you on what is happening. Two, that you must appreciate that this is not a condition or a situation facing Kenya alone, that even other regions are also suffering. It's only that, for us Kenyans, we are always on top of things, and the government is always out there, to give information. We don't have to be pushed to wait until we are pushed on the wall so that you can give information. So, again, good afternoon, and allow me now to read the statement. As you may recall, in October 2016, we provided an update on drought and food security situation in the country. During that time, only parts of the country were experiencing drought due to poor performance of the long rains 2016. Performance of the short rain season, November-December 2016, was below average and characterized by poor spatial and temporary distribution in most of the ASO areas. Consequently, drought conditions in Kenya are worse now. Consequently, drought conditions in Kenya are worse now at the end of the short rain seasons than they were before the season began. Am I clear? Read again. That performance of the short rain season, November and December 2016, was below average and characterized by poor spatial and temporary distribution in most of the ASO areas. Consequently, drought conditions in Kenya are worse now at the end of the short rain season than they were before the season began. For counties at the coast and in southeast, the poor short rains of 2016 followed an equally poor long rains season, and for some, a poor short rains in 2015 as well. Where the ASOs are particularly badly affected, there are also pockets of other non-ASO areas that are affected. Places like parts of Murang'a, Kakamega, Homa Bay, to name but a few. The impact that the drought situation is worsening, for example, in October, only 5 counties were of concern. Currently, the number has risen to 11 counties. Livestock sector is particularly at risk because the coastal region is usually the dry season grazing fallback, and it is currently experiencing severe drought. Further, cross-border migrations are limited because neighboring countries are also affected. You should know the consequences of that. I want to emphasize that the fallback position of the pastoralist is the coastal region, okay, where they can extend and look for pasture elsewhere in the neighboring countries. The situation is equally bad. That's what we are saying, that the livestock sector is particularly at risk because the coastal region is usually the dry season grazing fallback, and it is currently experiencing severe drought. Further, cross-border migrations are limited because neighboring countries are also affected. The government response, food distribution by the national government began immediately. The early warning system signaled drought stress. By October 2016, it was evident that the situation was worsening, the national government then planned to enhance the interventions. Sectoral and intergovernmental planning processes led to the adoption of a cabinet memorandum in November 2016, which set out 3 phases of activities. Phase 1, November 2016, and January 2017, Kenya shillings 5.4 billion. Phase 2, February to April 2017, Kenya shillings 9 billion. And phase 3, May and July 2017, Kenya shillings 7 billion. In November 2016, the National Treasury released 1.8 billion of the 5.4 billion of phase 1 as first disbursement to the following subsectors: livestock, agriculture, water, health and nutrition, interior and coordination of national government, special programs, and drought coordination. The funds enabled the sectors to begin implementing the first phase of activities outlined in the cabinet memo. From November 2016 to date, ministries have taken actions as follows. Ministry of Devolution and Planning. The ministry has distributed food worth 824 million to the affected ASO counties for the months of November and December 2016. The foodstuff distributed included 87,342 bags of 90 kgs maize, 30,035 50 kgs bags of beans, 43,389 bags of rice, and special food for the children, pregnant, and lactating women that includes fortified Unimix, 14,430 packets of 500 grams, fortified Nutropub, that is 227,269 packets. The ministry, with the support of the European Union, has since August 2016 to date has released to 15 affected counties Kenya shillings 180 million to support intervention gaps in livestock, education, water, health and nutrition, and conflict management. This support was to the counties through the national. This support was to the counties through the National Drought Management Authority. The ministry, in collaboration with the United Kingdom Department for International Development, is doing bi-monthly regular cash transfer to 97,000 households in 4 most vulnerable counties of Turkana, Marsabit, Mandera, and Wajir. This bi-monthly transfer value to each household is Kenya shillings 2,700 per household. In the month of December 2016, we scaled up cash transfers. Were done to Wajir up to 35,245 households. Mandera, 17,420 households. Turkana, 16,632 households. And Marsabit, 9,398 households. The total value of the cash transfers is Kenya shillings 285.6 million. The scale up transfer value is Kenya shillings 2,700 per household per month. It's very important for us to understand that this is money going to the households. You can multiply the beneficiaries. The Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Governments. The ministry dispersed Kenya shillings 30 million to various county commissioners and its headquarters for peace and security in areas prone to natural resources use-based conflicts. Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. The ministry received Kenya shillings 794 million from the National Treasury for livestock feed supplements. Kenya shillings 230 million, livestock optics, 220 million, livestock disease management, and 200 million, and a further Kenya shillings 144 million was allocated for purchase of assorted seeds. The ministry has procured and distributed 46,800 large cubes, 50 kg bags, 22,100 bales of hay, 1,270 20 liters molasses, and 100,003 670, that is 2.5 kg urea mix mineral blocks. In addition, 1,200 heads of cattle were procured and slaughtered in coastal region, and 300 heads of cattle procurement processes is ongoing. Further, the ministry has procured 1.5 million dozens of various vaccines for the counties. Procurement of 702 metric tons of assorted seeds is in progress and will be ready by the end of January 2017 for pre-positioning and distribution by February. These seeds will be enough to plant 119,025 hectares of land, and therefore assist 366,000 beneficiaries. State Department of Water Services. The State Department of Water Services was allocated Kenya shillings 221,174,183 shillings. Out of the amount allocated, the State Department distributed Kenya shillings 30 million for purchase of collapsible tanks to Coast, Northern, Lift, and Tana and the Water Service Boards, while Kenya shillings 64 million 151,633 was distributed to the same water service boards for water distribution and storage, that is water tracking, in the affected counties. The State Department of Health. The State Department of Health was allocated Kenya shillings 247,804,363 to address the risk of acute malnutrition among the children under 5, pregnant and lactating mothers. The procurement and distribution of 91 metric tons of loose, that ministry will explain further what they mean by elusive. 155 metric tons of corn soya blend and 16 metric tons of vegetable oil supplies is ongoing. The counties registered high malnutrition rates. The counties registering high malnutrition rates will be targeted. The State Department, with the support of development partners, has expanded the integrated health outreach programs in all ASO counties. In all the plans for Phase 1 activities, all these plans for Phase 1 activities will be completed by the end of January 2017. You look at the outlook and the future plans, the number of people in need of assistance is likely to rise significantly beyond the 1.5 million already affected to over 2 million. From February 2017, the national government will implement its plans for Phase 2, that is February-April 2017. The Cabinet memo had already assumed a worsening situation, illustrated by the high budget provisions for Phase 2, that is 9.2 billion. The customary assessment of the short-range season is ongoing. This will determine the precise impact of the season on food security and identify the number of needed assistance. I repeat, the customary assessment of the short rain season is ongoing. This will determine the precise impact of the season on food security and identify the number needing assistance. Immediate actions, scale up of relief transfers, that is either food or cash as appropriate. Access to water. We have rapid response teams and tracking where necessary. Access to health, including expansion of integrated outreach services. Livestock offtake, the provision of livestock feed, supplements, and livestock health measures. Post-harvest storage and timely inputs for the next agricultural season. Measures that help students continue their education, such as food for fees and food, that is the school feeding programs, will be enhanced. Peace building and conflict management, as well as inter-county and international coordination and negotiations to facilitate peaceful mobility. Integration of drought risk reduction measures in the next planning cycle. It is critical that the long-term goals are not lost. That is, we will not lose sight of integration of drought risk reduction measures in the next planning cycle. It is critical that the long-term goals are not lost sight during the crisis. I'll be coming back to that again, because the question is, why are you always coming with short-term measures? I'll come back to that. And before I conclude, it is important to come back to it, because all year round, every time I go for an interview, the first question that comes up is, why have you not put measures into place? I want to brief you on what has been going on. And the background of it is that we have been having the aiding drought emergency strategy. The aiding drought emergency strategy evolved out of a summit of the heads of state and governments of the Horn and East African region in September 2011. The aim of the initiative is to aid the worst of the suffering currently caused by drought within 10 years. In order to achieve the goal of aiding drought emergency, the government made the Aid Drought Emergency one of the foundations of the national transformation in the Kenya Vision 2030 and is an integral part of the second medium-term plan for the Vision 2030. What are we saying? We already have our country blueprint, that is the Vision 2030. Well, we were looking at the projects towards achieving the vision. The question of drought management was not highlighted then. But in the year 2011, and you remember there was another very serious drought then, the heads of state, not only in Kenya, of the region, came out together. And this strategy was formulated. And the Kenyan government took it very seriously and integrated it to the MTP2. Okay? And that is how serious the government has taken the initiative to aid drought. Reducing vulnerability to drought requires two key measures. The first is to strengthen the foundations for development, especially security, infrastructure, and human capital, which are particularly weak in drought-prone areas. Without these foundations, people are less well equipped to manage risk, and development projects are less likely to impact on them. Without these foundations, people are less well equipped to manage risk, and development projects are less likely to have impact. It is not feasible to think of building resilience to drought when people lack the basic means to protect and provide for their families. The second is to strengthen the institutions and financing mechanisms which will ensure sustained and effective response. This includes the National Drought Management Authority and complementary National Drought Contingency Fund and the county governments.
All right, that is Devolution and Planning Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri giving details about the government's alert over the drought situation and talking about the second phase, and 9 billion is expected to be set aside for the month of January and February for the second phase of trying to combat drought in various areas in the country. And I will just leave you in the hands of Abby Agina, who will be coming in with business today, and of course more details regarding that press briefing by Devolution and Planning Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri. My name is Akisa Wandera. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Good afternoon. Abby Agina, back to you.
Many thanks there, Akisa. Of course, this alert by the Ministry of Devolution and Planning comes at a time when the country is facing actually the drought situation, and we want to take you back to that particular press conference where we did see the Devolution Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri talk about measures they are working on to ensure the country is able to remain food secure. But for now, let's go back to that press briefing.
This is the ministry now dealing with drought situation in the country. Mitigation should come from various ministries. What is the Ministry of Agriculture doing? What is the Ministry of Water doing? What is the Ministry of Energy doing? What is the Ministry of Devolution? All these ministries combined are the ones to ensure that mitigations are into place. I think I'm clear on this matter. So we are not talking of the 21 billion to mitigate on the drought situation up to June, July. We are talking as this as a supplement or for later measures that the government has taken and put into place. In conclusion, going forward, both the national and county governments will continuously monitor the situation and scale the interventions when and where need arises. Accordingly, it is important for you to understand that according to the State Department of Agriculture, the current stocks of our basic staples, that is maize, beans, rice, sorghum, and millets, are sufficient to last the country up to June 2017. The maize stocks, as at 22nd December, stood at 21.4 million 90 kg bags, that is maize. Of this, NCBP, National Cereals and Produce Board, has 1.3 million bags for strategic food reserve. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we would like to assure all Kenyans that the government is on top of this situation and shall ensure that the necessary help reaches the most needy on time. I thank you very much. And I would like to invite if there are any comments or questions. And I have all this team with us here so that they can be able to answer any questions that will be directed to their ministries. Thank you. There being no question, start with the lady. You can tell us your name and...
And my question is to CS Water. You've addressed the food situation, but you've not add anything. Water, you need people food and you need people water. And probably if there's a long-term solution to the water problem, like building a borehole and stuff.
Okay, I'll give him the opportunity to do that. But if you remember, I've highlighted ministry by ministry. Unless now we want details, isn't it? Okay, Minister.